Talk about a crusher. Yes! Oh!
Are you kidding me?
And gone!
Welcome back to the Schoolyard Sports Podcast. I'm the host of this podcast, Lane Frank. We're now at episode 164. Guess 164 episodes through, and I got an action-packed episode planned for you. UConn has won the national championship. NBA playoffs getting ready to start there. MLB, great ride we've had there. It's NFL draft month, everybody. So get ready for an action-packed episode 164. Let's hop into it. Let's start out episode 164, how we always do, with the headlines in the NBA. First thing to talk about in the NBA right here, and I think this is super interesting, the random 50-point game from Malachi Flynn, and then the next game going 0 for 12 from the field. This is the new day NBA, where any guard, because any guard in the NBA, I mean, you're an elite guard, especially a guy like Malachi Flynn, where if you give him the ball, he can go off for 50, and then if you give him the ball again the next night, he's going to go for 0 points. This is a perfect example of why sometimes when, starters are out and you let the bench guys play and they get 30 points, you're saying, why don't they always play those games? Why don't they always play those minutes? Because when they always play those minutes, you're going to get the second Malachi Flynn game, the 0 points. And I think that's a great thing to share right there in the NBA. Congrats to Malachi Flynn on the most random 50-point game of all time, but then 0 points your next game out. Tough to see right there. Got great stuff coming up at the NBA. We're in the final stretch of the season. Houston Rockets just got eliminated. We got Lakers versus Warriors tonight. Knicks fighting for that 3 or 4 seed right now. Great stuff right there. Victor Wembanyama closing out his rookie season in such a great way. I think just got his Nike logo revealed. It's up there with the GOATs. Jordan and LeBron type of logo. And Wemby one day in his playing career can be up there with the GOATs, Jordan and LeBron. People are saying it's scary to think this might be Victor Wembanyama's worst year of his career. It's looking like he's going to be Defensive Player of the Year. That's scary. Think about it right there. Victor Wembanyama going off so far in his rookie season. That'll close our headlines in the NBA. In the NFL, not too much going on in the NFL right now. Obviously, the Stephon Diggs trade last week was big. We got the NFL draft coming up this month, my favorite time of year. I'm going to give you my quarterback big board coming up later on in this episode. In the MLB, great week and great start this MLB season we've had. First guy I want to spotlight on right here, Ronel Blanco, pitcher for the Houston Astros. This guy, relief pitcher, minor league pitcher, his whole career gets brought up last year. They say, okay, let's move you to starter. Let's see how it works. Doesn't do so great. Okay. Gets in the spring training this year. Not really expecting to make the roster. Then Jose Accordi and Justin Verlander both go on the IL. And they just start to think, okay, maybe we go with Ronel Blanco, but let's see how he does in spring training. Does great in spring training. Has a kid the next week. Leaves spring training. Then throws a no-hitter. 9 innings in his first MLB start. Second MLB start goes 6 innings. Hitless. Gets 1 hit, I think, in the 7th inning. Great 2 starts from Ronel Blanco. 14 no-hit innings. I mean, that's legendary stuff right there. And it's only 2 starts to this guy. Astros know how to produce guys. My favorite part about the story, signed with the Astros for about $5,000. Same story as a guy like Jose Altuve. Same story for a guy like Framber Valdez with this team. Exciting stuff right there. Ronel Blanco on fire, looking like ace to start the season. Now, some other aces, they're out for the entire season. Let's talk about Shane Bieber, out for the rest of the season. Tommy John surgery. Tommy John is taking a big hold of the MLB right now. Even Chris Bassett, MLB pitcher, said for the Blue Jays, it's different now because guys aren't trying to throw 90 miles an hour. They're trying to throw 97, 100 consistently, and that's going to kill your arm. Spencer Strider, Cy Young candidate every year. One of the best pitchers in baseball. One of the rising stars in baseball. Can be the next Jacob deGrom if he wants to. Out for the season. Shane Bieber, my AL Cy Young prediction, out for the season. This stuff right here is the annoying stuff which comes with baseball. Hard-hitting pitchers. Tommy John surgery for both those guys. Tough right there. For the New York teams, my New York Mets on fire. First few games, obviously horrible. 0 for 4. But now, cooking a little bit. Back to 3-6. Obviously, I am the hopeless Mets fan. Hopeful Mets fan will call it. Because I'm saying we're on fire, even though it's been a little bit tough. The pitching, starting pitching, has been decent. But the bullpen has been struggling. Edwin Diaz, only bright spot this bullpen so far. Mets offense, starting to get things going. Francisco Lindor, $300 million to bat .60. .60, not 160, not 260, not 360, 460. .60. Brand Nimmo had a rough start getting things going. Same with Jeff McNeil and Pete Alonso. But things need to start going for this Mets team if they do want to catch fire once again. New York Yankees catching fire, though. Juan Soto looks great in the pinstripes. Hopefully he can be there for the rest of his career. One thing I want to point out right here before we end this headlines, Tyler O'Neill, a little bit of an underrated outfielder for the Red Sox. Most home runs in the MLB right now. Spot for the headlines in the MLB. College basketball, we got great stuff to talk about this week in college basketball. John Calipari leaving Kentucky to go to Arkansas. UConn winning the national championship. We'll talk about that next. And so much more. Preview for next season. Get ready for that. That's about it for the headlines this week. Now, 1 year ago, I was sitting here saying, I didn't expect this. I didn't think this team could go this far. I didn't think this team was a blue blood. And now they are. It's the same exact conversation 1 year later with UConn Huskies. I said, okay, I didn't think Danny Hurley was a championship-winning head coach. I didn't think UConn was this blue blood program that could produce any guys. They are. And they did last year, and they did again this year. First team to win back-to-back championships since Billy Donovan, who might be making his way back to college basketball at Florida, did it in 2007 and 2008. UConn Danny Hurley has built up a dynasty. A dynasty. You win back-to-back championships, you're a dynasty. Georgia wins back-to-back national championships in football, they're a dynasty. So why UConn, when they win back-to-back championships, they're also a dynasty in my opinion. But it's the way they rebuilt this whole entire team. Because with the Florida team and the few other teams that have won back-to-back championships in college basketball, they had most of their starters returning. I think Florida had 4 starters returning from the next year. UConn didn't. Only starter UConn had returning were Donovan Clingan and Tristan Newton, and Donovan Clingan really played second fiddle to Adama Sanogo all of last season. So the way that Danny Hurley was able to get Alex Caravan, get Cam Spencer, get all these guys to come to UConn and to come back, Tristan Newton, Donovan Clingan, and build together another national championships. I mean, this team had everything. They had the 5-star freshman, Stephon Castle. They had the experienced point guard, Tristan Newton. They had the high-flying center, Donovan Clingan, and then they experienced transfers, Cam Spencer. This team had everything. And Danny Hurley is an amazing college basketball head coach, and I don't think he takes that Kentucky job. Now, if he takes that Kentucky job, he's going to be one of my most hated coaches in the sport. I get it. $7 million difference if you get that $11 million deal at Kentucky compared to the $4 million deal at UConn. That's tough. Can't look away from that. But when you start thinking about things, is Kentucky really a place you want to be over UConn? At UConn, you're a legend. You're the next Jim Calhoun. You have a statue built for you at UConn right now if you stay there for the rest of your career. Jim Boeheim, I want to talk about him for a second. 40 years at Syracuse, only one national championship. Didn't make many Final Fours, but he's a legend there because he was there for so long and he won them a national championship for a small program. Now Syracuse is like one of the best jobs to have in college basketball. For Danny Hurley at UConn, wins them back-to-back national championships. My favorite thing is when he said in 2020, it may look like nothing now, but just wait. Just wait. The most energetic guy in college basketball, Danny Hurley, has turned this program around after Kevin Ollie, his days, when he won national championship, Kevin Ollie in 2014. From what happened from 2014 to 2018 with this program, absolute turmoil. And then 2019 and now, Danny Hurley has done an amazing job. Back-to-back national championships, the UConn method, the UConn dynasty in full effect, everybody. That's my take of the week. Danny Hurley has built up a dynasty in Connecticut. Now, top 5. This week's top 5 is the top 5 jobs, if they were to come open, in college basketball. Top 5 programs any coach would love to coach for. We did this for college football a few months ago after the college ball national championship game. Now we're going to do it for college basketball. Let's start out with number 5, Indiana Hoosiers. Now, right now, Indiana, not too hot as a program with Mike Woodson as their head coach. Did hear a rumor that if Mike Woodson were to leave Indiana after the season, or if they were to fire him, John Calipari would have been interested in that job. Not John Calipari over at Arkansas, leaving Kentucky. But nonetheless, Indiana is college basketball royalty. That's why they're number 5 on my list. Number 4, Kansas, the program that Roy Williams is able to build up, the program Bill Self has continued to build up. Both these coaches built up this program into be a blue blood. Bill Self, the best coach of college basketball, arguably. I love it. Kansas, great program, great fan base, great state. College basketball, Allen Fieldhouse can be the pinnacle of college basketball stadiums. They don't lose at Allen Fieldhouse. Maybe once a season, maybe less. Allen Fieldhouse is Kansas basketball. 4, Kansas, one of the best jobs in college basketball. Number 3, North Carolina. You can tell me you can coach at Blue Blood and coach at one of the biggest arenas in the world, bigger than Madison Square Garden, and get that whole fan base rocking. So many college students and college fans in there. That's a great environment. I mean, if I'm Hubert Davis, I'm in that stadium after a big run, hyping up the whole entire crowd. Because you got a massive stadium, you got a great fan base, you got North Carolina, you got Jordan Brand, It's a great job to have. Number 3, North Carolina. Number 2, Kentucky. Same thing goes with Kentucky. This team has been a blue blood forever since college basketball was created. They've had so many great coaches, from the line of Rick Pitino to John Calipari to many other coaches. This is a great job to have. Great championships. They know how to recruit. Yes, it's Kentucky, where maybe a flashy 5-star doesn't want to go. John Calipari got them there. Rick Pitino got them there. And I guarantee you the next head coach of Kentucky will get 5 stars there because it's a great program to coach at. I think it's a great job. Any college basketball head coach right now would leave their position for Kentucky, in my opinion, except for about Dan Hurley. That's number 2. Number 1, Duke basketball is the best job in college basketball. Yes, Coach K may have built up that whole entire program, but Duke is the best job in college basketball. Cameron Indoor, most can say, is the best college basketball arena. I agree with that. From my experience at Dean Dome and my experience at Cameron, I think Cameron Indoor Stadium is the best environment in college basketball. The support you're going to get at Duke, the brotherhood. Number 1, Duke basketball, the best job to have in college basketball. And that's spot for top 5 this week. Now, did you know the last team to have a full undefeated season in college basketball were the 1975-1976 Indiana Hoosiers? Some other teams that come close to it, Gonzaga in the 2021 shortened season was 1 game away from it, the national championship, and Kentucky in 2015, which I still think is one of the best teams of all time. They had Karl Anthony Towns, Devin Booker, great team. Willie Cauley-Stein, that was a great team. Lost in the Final Four, didn't win the championship that year, didn't go undefeated. So still, almost 50 years to this day, the Indiana Hoosiers, the last team to go undefeated. Didn't know that? Leave down in the comments. That's power for Didn't Know this week. Now let's keep things rolling with college basketball. This is really a great college basketball episode we have because there's a lot of great things to go over. So John Calipari broke the entire sports world on Sunday night saying, I'm done with Kentucky basketball. I'm heading over to be the next head coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks. Now, this is a ripple effect that can happen in college basketball, any sport really, but really college basketball and college football mostly, because the SMU athletic director fires his head coach after 2 seasons saying, okay, we don't like your results in 2 years. We're going to make a shocking fire of you. Okay, that happens. The Andy Enfield at USC says, whew, I need out of USC. Good job right here in Texas. I'll take that. USC job opens. That's a big job. Eric Musselman from Arkansas heads over there. John Calipari takes his job at Arkansas. The ripple effect that college basketball can have on a lot of people. I even saw one saying if Florida Gulf Coast didn't have that run as the 15 seed back in 2014, Andy Enfield wouldn't have been at USC, and then none of this would have happened. But that's a story for another time. The ripple effect that we have on college basketball that now has created this awesome job in Kentucky. Like I said earlier, it's Kentucky. It may not be the flashiest state, may not be the flashiest program, but still a blue blood. So they need to find a head coach that can keep it a blue blood. We've seen in other sports, college football, Nebraska football. Get a new head coach, no longer a blue blood, win a championship in 1999, and then they're not a blue blood anymore. Because things happen, new conference, things go on for Kentucky, new members coming into the conference, NIL, things could fall off very easily for Kentucky basketball, but I don't think they will. As long as they make the right head coaching hire. So let's go through the candidates that they could hire for this job. Obviously, number 1, Dan Hurley, best coach of college basketball right now. Number 2, Nate Oates over at Alabama. I mean, he's done a great job with the portal. So many great guys. Every year, and Nate Oates produced a great team over at Alabama. He's been a great head coach, even since his days at Buffalo. Number 3, Billy Donovan, head coach, has done a great job in the NBA with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Has struggled a little bit with the Chicago Bulls. Brought them to the playoffs, but not real success with the Bulls. And he's a college basketball legend for his time at Florida, winning back-to-back national championships. If he was to come back to college basketball, I think Kentucky might be the spot for him. Verbally committed to be the Kentucky head coach in 2008, backed out the last second, came back to Florida. They hired Billy Gillispie instead. Billy Gillispie didn't work out for Kentucky. That's how they got John Calipari. But Billy Donovan may be saying, I regret that decision. Maybe it's time to come back to college basketball. Done with this NBA stuff. Come back to Kentucky. Good option to look out for right there. Next one, Tommy Lloyd over at Arizona. Tommy Lloyd's had great teams at Arizona, and he hasn't produced great results in the tournament, but he still had a great rise in his first few years there. So I think he's a good option to look out for right here for this Kentucky job. Scott Drew. Scott Drew is the home run hire that every Kentucky fan wants. Now, I don't know if he's going to want to leave Baylor because he loves Baylor. Scott Drew, a great guy. I think he'll entertain any job, but I'm not sure if he's going to want to take this Kentucky job. They're targeting him, but I'm not sure if he's going to want to take it. National championship winning head coach Scott Drew up there on that list. Rick Pitino. Rick Pitino was a legend over at Kentucky, legend in college basketball. He even says, on record, I regret leaving Kentucky and going over to the Boston Celtics. And I think if I stayed at Kentucky, I would have 1,000 career wins and be up there with the greats like Coach K, like Roy Williams, like John Wooden, like Bobby Knight. So Rick Pitino might be saying, maybe it's time to get back to my glory days, leave St. John's, head over to Kentucky. I think Rick Pitino would do it in a heartbeat. It's a matter if the Wildcats are going to want to do it. Bruce Pearl, great guy in the SEC over at Auburn. He's a good option to look out for. And the wild card right here, Jay Wright, two-time national championship winning head coach, brought them to the Final Four in his last season at Villanova with, a pretty bad team in my opinion. None of those guys in the NBA right now, except for Ken Whitmore. So the interesting thing right here for me is Jay Wright sitting at home right now on TV, might be saying, I need a college basketball job to come back to. Is Kentucky that job? I say no for him because he's an East Coast guy. I don't think he'd want to take over anybody because he loves Villanova that much. I think when he was done with coaching, he was done with coaching. I'm done with NIL. I'm done with all these things because he was great at finding diamonds in the rough. Hard to do that in today's NIL, but the diamonds he found in the rough were great guys. Look at the New York Knicks roster. Dante DiVincenzo, Jalen Brunson, Cal Bridges over the Brooklyn Nets. This guy was great at finding talent. Jay Wright, a great option right there. If it was up to me for Kentucky, Jay Wright's my first call. Who I think they hire is Billy Donovan, which would be a great hire. Billy Donovan is going to want to leave the Chicago Bulls. Dan Hurley is going to be their first call, but he's not going to take that job. Scott Drew, they're going to go after, not going to take it. I think Billy Donovan ends up with this job. That's spot for my spotlight. I'd hire Jay Wright. They're going to take Billy Donovan. That's spot for the Kentucky basketball spotlight this week. Now, I promised you, it's here. My favorite thing to talk about in the month of April, NFL draft, everybody. It's NFL draft season. My favorite episode to do every year is my NFL mock draft episode. Now, we don't always get the picks right because it's a mock draft and it's impossible, but I'm confident this year we're going to get it right. But before we do a mock draft in the next 2 weeks, we got to list the prospects, the best prospects out there. I'm going to rank you my top quarterbacks in this year's NFL draft. It's controversial. You can call me biased. You can call me whatever it is. I'm right on all of these. Let's hop into it. The best quarterback in this year's draft is Caleb Williams. Talent-wise, I even say the way he handles himself. I went on Twitter today and I see Caleb Williams replies to a tweet from Greg McElroy saying that he never faced adversity. He goes through a whole list of things that list everything he's been through. No NFL quarterback has ever done that. No NFL player ever does that. And I see that and say, what is Caleb doing to hurt his draft stock? He wants to hurt his draft stock. No. Caleb Williams can do whatever he wants right now with his NFL draft stock. So he's going to put his opinion out there. I compare him to a little bit of Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray not afraid to put his opinion out there. After Kyler Murray was getting absolutely ridiculed for the video game clause he had in his contract, he said, okay, before you start disrespecting me about what I am because I can't throw the ball 80 yards, I'm going to list my accomplishments. Now, some people might call that egotistical. I love that right there from Kyler Murray. He went, I'm the greatest high school quarterback of all time. I'm a Heisman Trophy winner. I'm a top 10 pick in MLB and NFL. And I love that stuff right there from Kyler Murray. Caleb Williams out here doing the same thing. He says, I faced adversity. My first year at Oklahoma, not being the starting quarterback, having turmoil there. My second year being one game away from the college football playoff and tearing my hamstring in the second quarter of a game we were winning that would have brought us to the college football playoff. And he goes to say, we lost because of that. I mean, I like that right there. Most people might not. If I'm an NFL GM, I would like that from Caleb Williams. Making this whole thing out there. Go 7-5 his last season. That's on you. But I like this right here from Caleb Williams. I think it's swagger. I think it's confidence. He might not do everything, but people, I want to see it that way. Other people want to see it. But Caleb Williams is the best quarterback in this year's NFL draft and the best quarterback I've evaluated ever on Schoolyard Sports. Higher than Trevor Lawrence. Higher than any other quarterback. Caleb, number one. Number two, my guy, J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy, handoff merchant, call him whatever you want. He's going to make better plays than Drake May, and he's going to make better plays than any other quarterback in this draft. I have him at number two. I think he will be the number two pick to the Washington Commanders. Watch the tape. Watch any play J.J. McCarthy has made. He doesn't need to throw in the second half of Michigan football games because they're winning by so much. If you're in that situation, you're saying, are we throwing the ball right here? No. Run. We got the best running game in college football. We have a 30-point lead. No need to throw the ball. He had 4 interceptions all year, 3 in one game against Bowling Green. I don't think that happens any other game of J.J. McCarthy's career. I think it was just a fluke game for him. Put on the tape, J.J. McCarthy is the most mobile quarterback in this year's draft, and he's also one of the most strong throwers. Makes every right decision. I love J.J. McCarthy. Clutch, under pressure. You can say what you want about these guys. The only one that's a proven winner out of all these guys, Drake May, not a proven winner. Michael Penix, proven winner at times, but not a national champion. Caleb Williams, definitely not a proven winner. Same with Jaden Daniels. I would say JJ McCarthy, obviously the most proven winner. Only one loss in this whole entire college football career as a starter. JJ McCarthy, second best quarterback in this draft. If I'm an NFL GM, if I can't get Caleb, I'm taking JJ. Number 3, Drake May. Drake May's a great quarterback. He's not better than Caleb Williams and JJ McCarthy. Now, he's still a great player, very mobile, very big arm. Only knock I have on him, why didn't his team do well? I know it's not fully on him, but really, if you think about it, he could have led his team to some more wins. Michael Penix Jr. over at Washington didn't have the greatest team. He brought them to the national championship. Jaden Daniels over at LSU had led them to a great year, back-to-back years, won the Heisman Trophy. Why didn't Drake May win a Heisman Trophy? Why didn't Drake May accomplish more things in his time at North Carolina? Some games where you say, ooh, Drake May may have made the mistake in this game that lost them that game, not the talent around him. I still think he's a great quarterback, though. 3, Drake May. Now, here's where you're going to start to get angry at me. Everybody thinks Jaden Daniels is the second best quarterback in this draft. I have him at number 5, and I have Michael Penix Jr. at number 4. Michael Penix Jr. is a veteran. He's a lefty, can launch the ball. Greatest arm in this draft, even more than Joe Milton. I got Michael Penix at number 4. And number 5, Jaden Daniels. If you told me before this year, Jaden Daniels is going to be a top 2 pick in the NFL draft, I would say he's going to the NFL. He's not a Stetson Bennett type of guy. Because that's what I view Jaden Daniels as. Preseason, midseason, and really up until he won his Heisman Trophy. And everybody started overvaluing him. I don't think Jaden Daniels is going to be a superstar in the NFL. I just don't. The build he has, his play style, doesn't translate perfectly to the NFL for me. Didn't love everything I saw from him in college. Yes, he wins the Heisman Trophy. Some tough games in there for Jaden Daniels. Put on the tape, roll the clips. I got Jaden Daniels as number 5 in this draft class. Great quarterback draft class. Respect to all these guys. They can throw a football a whole lot longer than I can. A whole lot farther. But still, that's my big board. NFL quarterback big board. Mock draft special coming up in the next 2 weeks. Stay tuned for that. Still more to come. Schoolyard Sports with Lane Frank, episode 164. Now let's do a little my GM hat right here. I got my Schoolyard Sports hat on. Now we're going to put on my GM hat. And we're going to talk about the Baltimore Orioles, the way they are building up a complete dynasty. They followed the Braves' blueprint of having terrible seasons and getting great prospects and building on that. Now, the Braves haven't won many championships. They've only won one with that core. But I think the Baltimore Orioles are the American League version of the Atlanta Braves, and they can be 10 times better than what the Atlanta Braves team is right now because of what they've done with this team. It's the new blueprint, everybody, of how to win championships in baseball. It's not like my New York Mets, where you can go out and get a massive payroll and now you're stuck with a horrible roster. It's like how the Baltimore Orioles did it with years of suffering. So let's talk about this. 2017 season, Buck Showalter's their manager. They go 75-87. Pretty bad year. 2018, they went 47-115. Pretty bad year. 2019, they went 54-108. Terrible. 108 losses, 58 wins. That's horrible. 2019. 2020, the shortened season, they went 25-35. All right, that's decent. 2021, 52 wins, 110 losses. Horrible season. Then things start to get going. 2022, 83-79. 2023, 101-61. How'd they do it? Through the draft and through prospects. Let's look at their drafts. So after that abysmal 2017 season, 2018, they took Grayson Rodriguez with their first overall pick. Grayson Rodriguez now is one of the best players on that team. 2019 draft, they got Adley Rutschman with the number 1 pick, the best catcher in baseball. They got Gunnar Henderson, who is really an MVP candidate this year. Shortstop, best shortstop for the Orioles right now. He's been playing great for them. Gunnar Henderson, great job right there. Great pick for them. They got Kyle Stowers, one of the top prospects for them right now. Great 2019 draft because they had a terrible 2018 season. 2020 draft, after a terrible 2019 season, they got 3 top prospects. They got Heston Kjerstad, who had 10 RBIs in AAA the other night, and they got a bunch of other great guys for this team. So 2020 draft, another great draft for them, and they still have these guys coming up. That's the scary part. 2021 draft, they took Colton Cowser with the number 3 overall pick. Colton Cowser still in AAA, still playing great in AAA. 2022 MLB draft, they took number 1 overall pick, Jackson Holliday, and now Jackson Holliday has been called up to the major leagues today, so I thought today would be fitting to do all this. The reason why I'm going through all this is because it's scary to think how good this Orioles team is going to be. Right now, they're amazing. They have Kyle Bradish, John Means, Grayson Rodriguez, and Corbin Burns in that pitching rotation. It's amazing. They have one of the best closers for the future, Felix Bautista. He's out for the season, the Mountain, but he's going to be a great closer for the future. They've got the best catcher in baseball. They have a good first baseman, Ryan Mountcastle. Gunnar Henderson's a great second baseman for them. Jackson Holliday's going to be their shortstop. They've got a great third base prospect. I don't know what they're going to do with their outfield because they have so many top prospects in that outfield. I mean, Heston Kjerstad was drafted in 2020. Hasn't even made the MLB yet, but had 10 RBIs the other night. That's scary. Colin Cowser, picked in 2021, hasn't made the MLB yet. That's scary. These guys are going to be all-stars. These guys are going to be superstars. Their trade date, if they want to trade for anybody, that's why they almost got Ohtani last offseason. And with doing this, that's why they got sold this offseason, because the people see, okay, this is a team that has a lot of value now, that can be built up. Now they have a new owner who's willing to spend money. That's how they got Corbin Burns. It's exciting, everybody. This is going to be a great dynasty. I would even go on record to say Baltimore Orioles will win, or can win, 5 championships in the next 15 years. It's a lot. But with this core, they are going to be the new age Los Angeles Dodgers. They are going to be the better version of the Atlanta Braves. This is the perfect way to build a team. It takes years. 2017 to 2024. Nobody expected them to have 101 wins last year. Nobody expected them in 2022 to have 83 wins after having 54 the year before. That's how it works. And the scary part is, the best players aren't in the MLB yet. That's the best part of it all. That's about for my GM hat this week. The best way to build a team. Credit to you, Baltimore Orioles. Another thing I want to credit them on, not firing manager Brandon Hyde. They stuck with Brandon Hyde, and now he's one of the best managers in baseball, one of the best teams in baseball. The right way to do it. I tip my cap to you, Baltimore Orioles. It's about for my GM hat this week. Now, at the buzzer, let's talk about an at the buzzer this week, the pinnacle of golf, the Masters, the best golf tournament every year. I love watching the Masters every year, so it's time to break it down, and I'm going to give you my champion for this year's Masters. Now, last year, I took Rory McIlroy. The year before, I took John Ram. I would have been better off taking John Ram last year instead of the year before. But let's see who I picked this year. A lot of great options. Brooks Koepka came in third place last year, had a great tournament. I think if it wasn't with all the weather delays last year, Brooks Koepka could have maybe won it instead of having to play 25 holes on Sunday, which was just terrible. Scotty Scheffler won it 2 years ago, back into it this year. Will Scotty Scheffler win the Masters this year? Leave your thoughts on that in the comments. I'm not going to pick Scotty Scheffler. I'm not going to pick Rory McIlroy, and I'm not going to pick Brooks Koepka. I'm in the mood of feeling back-to-back after watching UConn win the Masters Championship last night. I'm going to go with John Ram, back-to-back Masters champion, the fourth person to ever do it. The first is Tiger Woods. He goes back-to-back. John Ram, Masters champion, back-to-back. Now, maybe we get a random Masters champion. Maybe we get the Danny Woodland from a few years ago type of random win. Maybe we get Jason Day, underrated pick to win this year's Masters. What about Jordan Spieth? Won it back in 2015. A lot of great options to win this year's Masters. I'm going with the back-to-back. John Ram, I'm loving it. John Ram wins this year's Masters. That's about for Out the Buzzer this week. Now, question of the day. This week's question of the day is Schoolyard Sports the hottest sports podcast out there? Of course it is. And I've got a great announcement to make for all of you. The past 4 seasons of Schoolyard Sports have been amazing. And we're taking the next step right now, signing with Believe Network, sports media company. Really excited for the future of Schoolyard Sports. Gonna sign the contract right here. Thank you to everybody who's watched Schoolyard Sports for the past few years. Very excited about this next step for us. Nothing will change with the episodes. We got great stuff coming up in the future. Thank you to everybody who has supported Schoolyard Sports over the past 4 seasons of this show. Great stuff coming up. Get ready for it, everybody. That's about for episode 164.